The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I'm your host for today, Suliman Rafiq, and we are broadcasting live from the studios of Inspire FM today on the 27th of June 2019, reaching listeners in Luton and surrounding areas on 105.1 FM, as well as the new Inspire FM website. If you are listening to this show on Sunday or any other Thursday, then it is a repeat. If you prefer to watch as well as listen, you can do that. You can view us via Facebook. All you have to do is go to the Inspire FM Facebook page and click on our live link. Don't forget, this is your show, so why not get involved? And you can do that by text or WhatsApp on 07779 481822, or alternatively you can call us on 01582 481822. So today's show is all about physical activity, and we're focusing specifically on Couch to 5K and the park run, which is very timely given the lovely sunny weather that we're having at the moment. And I'm delighted to say that we are joined by some experts on this topic. Firstly, and his first appearance on Inspire FM is my friend Graham Simpson from Team Beds in Luton. Hi there, Graham.
Hi, nice, very nice to be here.
Thank you very much for giving up your time to join us. And we also have two friends of the show. We have Nadim, who is the coach at Man vs. Fat Football. Assalamu alaikum, Nadim.
Walaikum salam, Suleiman.
Thank you very much for giving up your time. And finally, by no means least, Dr Talib Abubacker, who is a local GP and COPD lead at Luton CCG. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you, all of you, for giving up your time this evening. Especially, it's such a nice, beautiful evening out there. I'm sure a lot of people might be sitting in their gardens listening to this, whereas we're in an air-conditioned studio.
That was my plan.
Was that your plan? You were going to be in the garden? I was like, Nadim, come on, mate. We need some more guests. So,
Pleasure.
As I say, today's show is all about the wonders of physical activity. Scientists have proven that physical activity helps maintain and improve well-being in a number of ways. Physical activity can help people with mild depression. Evidence shows it can also protect against anxiety. Physical activity is thought to cause chemical changes in the brain, which help to positively change our mood. And some scientists think that activity can improve well-being as it brings a greater sense of self-esteem, self-control, and the ability to rise to a challenge. In fact, Sir Liam Donaldson, the former Chief Medical Officer of England, famously said, and I quote, "If a medication existed which had a similar effect to physical activity, it would be regarded as a wonder drug or a miracle cure." So that's quite a statement from the Chief Medical Officer. Now, as we had last week, we've got a quiz question for you. Thank you very much for those that engaged with it last week. Today's quiz question is, and guys, don't give this away, but listeners, how many minutes of moderate intensity physical activity should we be doing per week? So that's for adults. So please do text or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. Nadim, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Surprise you there.
Did a bit.
And just in relation to, can you just, before we get on to specifics about physical activity, can you just give us a bit of an update around the work that you're doing locally?
Sure. As you know, Suleiman, I work with weight management clients in a football league stroke weight loss league in Lee Manor, Luton. We are season 7, we're towards the end of season 7 now, where we've seen we've seen up to 150 kilos lost this season so far. And that's roughly an average over around 60 participants. So a 15-week program. We're approaching week 11. So the new season, I've got some dates here. The new season starts on the 5th of August, if anyone's interested. Tried weight loss programs before, not worked. If you enjoy football, about time to combine them both, maybe give it a go. So 29th is the registration, 29th of July. Monday evenings that is, and that's the 5th of August for the new season. Any further details on that, you can find it on manvyfatfootball.org/Luton.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And also, are you developing anything else in the pipeline?
I am actually. It's an online platform, so like an online PT, online physical training instructor, whereby there's tailored diet plans and tailored fitness sessions for individuals who are able to register, go online and put in their details, etc., and have a consultation. It's a little bit more tailored than going on YouTube, for example, which is effective, but sometimes not targeted for what an individual needs.
Great. So hopefully you can come back in the future and talk to us about that in a bit more detail.
Yeah, definitely.
In relation to today's topic around physical activity, one of the big things is around people having time to partake in physical activity. A lot of people see the benefits of it, but how do you, from a practical perspective, talk to people when they identify time as a barrier?
Time. We often say it's an excuse, but ultimately, far from being an excuse, I think it's a perception that, for example, joining a gym, going to the gym, it's going to take 2 or 3 hours out of your time each session, including commute, etc. Going on bike rides, etc. It's going to take a lot of time out of your day or your weekend. Ultimately, especially with more advanced exercise regimes that are available now and that can be tailored, in fact, you can train for higher periods sometimes, or higher intensity for less periods. You could do what's known as HIIT training, interval training, which ultimately is training which is trained at a higher intensity, so the heart rate's pumping a lot harder, but you're training for less periods of time. So you could do an equivalent of an hour's very, very mild jog. You could probably burn fat and calories in comparison to a 15-minute HIIT session where you're exerting yourself a lot harder for a lot less time. So, time, it's a perception thing. I think if people knew what could be achieved in less time with different types of activity, I think people would be a bit more open to not thinking they don't have time.
Sure. And Talib, I'd just like to bring you here in terms of, when you're talking to patients, what kind of points do you make to them in kind of motivation around physical activity and making the time for physical activity?
I think, again, perception's always a massive thing in terms of time, as Nadim said, but also people think they're too old or they've got too many conditions, arthritis and so forth, that they feel that exercise, they can't do it. How can I possibly do it when I've got arthritis on my knees or my back? But there's lots of evidence of people doing exercise. Even just, I think I was mentioning to you earlier, if you just go onto YouTube and look up exercise from a chair, just sitting down and doing some exercises. So my message to all my patients is that I encourage exercise because it improves, and there's lots of evidence improves some of the things you've mentioned already, mental illness, muscle and bone pain, energy levels go up, chronic disease, it's shown massive changes in chronic disease such as diabetes and heart disease. It improves those conditions, reducing medication use, for example. And the elderly, it's so much better for them, because as you get older, your muscle bulk reduces, and then the stability in your legs and your back goes, which then affects your walking. You're less likely to walk. Then you get into this vicious cycle of doing less and less. Whereas if you start doing a little bit of exercise, do some strengthening work, then suddenly what you find is that your mobility starts to improve, your mental health starts to improve because you're more likely to do more and more things.
Fantastic. And just, I'm just trying to take it back we might have listeners that, have never really taken part in any physical activity as such. And like you say, maybe feel as though it's maybe a little bit too late in the day. They see it as maybe a young person's kind of pastime. One of the things we mentioned at the beginning was the Couch to 5K application that the NHS has developed. Is that something that you've had any experience with?
It's fantastic. A lot of I like to boast about this marathon I did, but it was the London Marathon. There was 20 of us from Luton who did it. Well, there was lots more from Luton, but there was a group of us called ourselves Team Luton. And some of these guys have never run before. Some of them had diabetes, some have had weight issues, and going from scratch, some took part in Couch to 5K,
right?
And then they went on to do the park run, and then they realised, I could do this, and then suddenly started to do 10K, then their half marathon, and before you know it, they've done the full marathon.
Amazing.
Now that's not going to be for everyone, but you start somewhere, and certainly Couch to 5K. I've had loads of patients who go through that, and I know there's various apps you can get from the BBC, I believe. But also local jogging groups like Stopsley Striders, for example, they run courses once or twice a year where they get complete non-runners to start running. And they start off with just walking to the lamppost and then run for a lamppost, walking to a lamppost, run to them, and gradually build up. And people surprise themselves how much they can actually do.
Yeah.
Simple things like getting a watch or apps on your phone to measure the steps you take. Now, we're all encouraged to do 10,000 steps. If you're not doing that, the average is about 2,500 for most people. But if you know how much you've done, because your app tells you, you've got something to aim for to improve. And the final thing I'd like, when people say they can't do any exercise, even if you just put your kettle on and you're waiting for your tea, just do 1 or 2 small squats. Start off very gentle and gradually build up. So I've got 80, 90-year-olds doing exercises. I had one lady who was waiting for a knee replacement, and she cancelled her knee replacement because the pain improved so much by just doing leg exercises.
Amazing.
And this is 82-year-old, and she's walking everywhere. I can see her walking.
So you would echo some of the suggestions about physical activity being compared to a wonder drug?
Definitely. My patients who do exercise are on less blood pressure tablets, on less diabetic tablets, are on less painkillers, on less antidepressants, and that's shown across the world.
Sure. Graham, I just want to bring you in here in terms of, some of the thoughts that we've been having about getting people physically active and, especially for people that haven't done any physical activity. I mean, what's your kind of experience around that?
Yeah, so it's a really important issue actually, and a key part of our work at Team Better Luton now is helping to build an infrastructure and put in place opportunities that encourage those who have not been physically active in any way, shape or form to start that journey actually towards an active life. And these two gentlemen here have already alluded how important that is and the benefits that can bring. So a lot of our work now is around trying to help facilitate that and to make that happen. And it's really challenging. And, here in Luton, I think we have one of the highest percentages of inactive adults actually across England. Something like around 33% of our adults do less than 30 minutes physical activity, moderate physical activity a week, whereas the national average is around 25%. So that's a real challenge for us. It's what Sport England, who we do the bulk of our work for locally, are challenging us to do. So things like Parkrun that you mentioned earlier, which is a mass participation initiative, are absolutely key to this. So we've done quite a bit of work with Parkrun locally, actually, not just in Luton but across Bedfordshire, by investing actually in the setup of those programs. There are some setup costs involved in actually getting these things up and running. Helping to build relationships between Parkrun and local sports clubs actually to facilitate a social element. So, for example, in Wardown Park, if you go to the Parkrun in Wardown Park, you can go into Luton Town and Indians cricket clubs afterwards and have a coffee and a cake or some biscuits if you want to. Probably that's your reward for doing your 5K. So we helped set that facility up as well. But they're great things to get involved with. There's no expectation there. You're well supported there. There's an army of volunteers that support individuals that. It's not you're not expected necessarily to go there and run. Start by walking and take your own time, and it's a wonderful way to just start on that journey. Actually,
Fantastic, listeners. Why not get involved? You can do that by calling us on 01582 481 822, or alternatively, you can text us or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. So parkrun is a bit of a worldwide phenomenon, and we're very fortunate that we have the opportunity, thanks to some of the work that you've done, to partake in Luton. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of Luton, Dr. Abubacker, can you just tell us a little bit about the history of parkrun and how this phenomenon kind of came about?
It was a chap called Paul Sinton Hewitt back in October 2004, nearly 15 years ago now, who was a runner, but he wanted a community to run with. He was finding he was being a bit isolated and he just wanted friends to run with. So he just went to the local park and started this commitment of running 9 o'clock every Saturday morning and just start running. And he found the benefits, which I'm sure we'll come on to, huge. His group started to grow, and then before he knew it, other people wanted to do it, so they started doing these park runs across this country. So we started it in this country, but
it started in England.
It started in England, and now it's worldwide. I can't remember how many there are, but you can find them in Russia, you can find them in America, you can find them in Europe. But the majority are in the UK, and there's very few towns now you can go to, England and Scotland and Wales, where you can't find a park run. And it's absolutely fantastic. It has so many benefits. It's completely free. As again, you were saying about the name park run, and we'd called it something else, but you don't have to run. Certainly locally, we've got people who walk around. The times go from 15 minutes for 5K, which is like super fast, to people taking 1 hour 15 because they walk around. There's always volunteers there, and you can volunteer as well, so you don't have to run. And if you volunteer enough, you actually get parts of the course named after you. So in Luton, we've got parts of courses named after volunteers, which is fantastic because these guys are there, and everyone shouts out their name as they pass them by. And so, it's not just about exercise, it's about being involved.
And Nadim, I mean, obviously, Talib mentioned there that it's free to take part, but do you need any kind of specialist, equipment and, running trainers? This stuff can be quite expensive, can't it?
I found not especially at the moment with online shopping, for example. I don't want to be plugging anyone, but it's the online stores you're able to buy perfectly good running trainers. They don't need to be 150 pounds worth of trainers, and you don't need the full kit that we see on Twitter and sporting models, etc. As long as you are wearing comfortable running trainers which suit your running needs. For example, if you don't have any running issues with your feet, and you can check this with your GP, etc. If you have any running issues with the type of foot you have, and you'll establish that when you start running. If you have any issues, you can get that seen to. But in general, you can get a pair of running trainers, whether it be 3/4 length or tracksuit, whatever you're comfortable in, whether it's a Under Armour top or just a t-shirt, whatever you're comfortable with. Ultimately, it's not as hard as you may think. You don't need to look like a professional to sort of take part.
Sure. And so, Talib, obviously, you mentioned there Saturdays 9 o'clock. Is that right?
Well, Luton, fortunately, thanks to a lot of the volunteers, started Parkrun 4 years ago. We just celebrated 4 years a few weeks ago, and I remember doing the first one. 79 people turned up. Now we get over 350 regularly. Really? Certainly the first one 4 years ago, I was probably one of the few brown faces that were there. But now we've got brothers and sisters with their scarves on and everything, walking, running,
young and old,
across the age group, across the size group, across speed group, you name it, there's people there. And once you're there and you've done it and you see that actually there is no competition, there's lots of people encouraging you, people are clapping you around, people encouraging you all the way round. At the end, we all meet up, everyone's talking about what they've managed to achieve. It's early-ish in the morning, but not too early, so it's 9 o'clock, and it's only for an hour 15, so you've got the rest of the day to do what if we want. And it's just such a good feeling. And you've got this real sense of something brilliant happening in Luton. It's a fantastic park. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's well kept. It's great to see. Much better in the sunshine, but even in the rain, it looks fantastic. And it's such a good sight to see 350 people chatting, talking, and then walking around, encouraging each other. And as you go round, you find your own little speed, and you find a little group that you end up seeing week after week, and you improve. So, when I first started, I knew there were some people who just walk around one lap. It's 4.5 laps, 3.5 laps, 4 times up the hill.
Feels
That's the
like
important thing. It's 4 times up the hill, tiny hill, a little slope. But they start off by just doing 1 lap or half a lap, and then meet at the end, talk to it, and then gradually you'll see them walk round, and then eventually they start to run round. But you don't have to run round, it's just about taking part in some form of exercise.
Absolutely, and that's why we were kind of joking before the show started, is that I think people presume you have to run because it's running the name, and actually you can walk and you won't feel. And there are people that walk, aren't there?
Absolutely,
and so you'll be part of. You won't be on your own walking.
And if you want to volunteer, you get 2 brownie points. You get a brownie point for actually doing the park run, and actually, if you want to volunteer and be a tail walker, you can walk at the end. So you're always the last person. You wear a high-vis jacket and you just follow the last person.
Yeah. Graham, have you had any experience of park run?
I have done it.
You've done it?
Not regularly. It's interesting that, the gents were talking earlier about life gets in the way, doesn't it? Sometimes, personal circumstances change. On my own circumstances, I've been a carer for a family member for the last couple of years. So I've gone from being somebody who was very active, playing a lot of sport and doing things like park run and playing a lot of cricket and things like that, to just not having the time or the opportunity. I'll perhaps talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I've done personally to just try and keep myself in some sort of shape, really, because there are things you can do, even when you can't get out and actually go and take part in this stuff. But yes, I have done it, and it was great fun. And for me, having been involved in the actual setup of it and building the relationship with the cricket club at Wardown, it was wonderful just to see how many were taking part, and also the fact it wasn't just Stopsley Striders members turning up and running. You had people from all over the community, and those that were walking, and those that were running and then walking, and those that were very, very good runners. So yeah, it's great. And I mean, the other thing is that Wardown was one of the first to start in this part of the world, but there's also an adult and a junior park run running at Houghton Hall Park, which is right on the border between Dunstable and Luton. So, for those in sort of like the Lucy Park area and Leagrave who might struggle to get into Wardown Park on a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning, the juniors runs on a Sunday. Houghton Hall is very accessible, actually.
Great.
Dunstable Downs is nearby.
Yeah. So Dunstable Downs
So
started.
we started doing park runs there?
Yeah, very recently, probably within the last 3 months. Dunstable Downs. So I know the guy said that Wardown Park doesn't have many hills. Dunstable Downs is potentially a bit hillier if you want it to be. So we've got 3 park runs actually taking place locally. And there is actually a junior park run at Wardown on Sunday as well. So, and that's only a 2k route rather than a 5k route.
Fantastic. Listeners, why not get involved? You can do that by calling us on 01582 481 822. And I have seen some WhatsApp messages coming in. I'll come to those shortly. And you can WhatsApp us on 07779 481 822. So we are just approaching our adverts. I think what we'll be looking at more in the second half of the show is, as you alluded to there, Graham, for people that might not think parkrun is just for them at the moment, what else is available in terms of physical activity, and also the role of Team Beds in Luton, the organisation you're from, in the local community as well, and also talking about widening out some of the benefits of being out in green spaces, and understanding more around connection to nature, and how there's been some evidence around the benefits of parkrun, the multiple benefits. So please do stay tuned, listeners, and we'll be with you straight after these short commercial breaks.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Health and Fitness Show. I am your host for today, Suliman Rafiq, and we are broadcasting live from the studios of Inspire FM today on the 27th of June 2019, reaching listeners in Luton and surrounding areas on 105.1 FM, as well as the new Inspire FM website. This show will also be available as a podcast, so you can look out for that. And if you prefer to watch as well as listen, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page and click on our live link. Now, I'd like to thank everyone that sent in WhatsApp messages, and please continue to do so. You can do so by messaging on 07779 481822. Today's topic is all in regards to physical activity, and there was a quiz question at the beginning. I'll repeat it for people who may be joining us a little bit later, and that is, how many minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week should we be doing as adults? So you can text in the answers to that. I've got some correct ones so far, so you can continue to let us know exactly how many minutes we should be doing. And we've touched on it, maybe, yeah, I think we've given the away.
The answer was given.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were listening attentively, then you'll know the answer, and we'll repeat it at the end just in case you didn't pick it up. Now, I just want to go straight to the messages, because I appreciate people taking the time to send us those messages. And Asif's just asking in regards to the practicalities around barcodes. Talib, can you touch on what he means?
Yeah, so parkrun's completely free. You'll get the most benefit if you register online. So if you just go to www.parkrun.co.uk and then look up the Luton one, but you can just register nationally, and then you can get a free barcode. So the idea is that when you run, you bring your barcode with you. You keep that with you all the time. Some people laminate it. You can get little wristbands and things that they cost, but the barcode itself is free. You run with it, and then when you finish, you'll go through the finishing funnel, and then you'll get another barcode with your position. You go to the barcode scanners who'll scan your barcode plus the number, and then that's recorded, and then you can compare yourself every year. Every run you do, you can compare yourself to others. You can see age related, so how you're doing for other people your age. You can compare with your friends. You can compare with other people across the country. So,
and I think it's just, do you have to have a barcode?
You don't have to. It's just that if you want to monitor how you're doing and your progress, which is part of the fun of it,
sure,
is you can see yourself improve. I've got my times from 4 years ago, and I can see whether I'm getting slower or faster.
Are you getting slower or faster?
We'll tell you another time. I'm in training, but it's really good to see and compare.
Absolutely. I think a few people have just been inspired by, you mentioned some of the guys that did the marathon this year. They actually started off with the Couch to 5K app. That was their start. So they were starting off on the couch. And
I mentioned a couple of guys because they were going to come today, but they're both busy doing other things. But there's a guy called Rana Mia. He was diabetic and had sleep apnea. He lost 7 stones doing running and did some park runs, but got encouraged and started doing more
7
exercise.
stone.
7 stones.
Wow.
And he reversed his diabetes. He's off his diabetic tablets. He's off his blood pressure tablets and he's off his CPAP machine.
So he's reversed his diabetes.
He's reversed his diabetes
through
just by
physical-
losing weight
through-
and doing exercise. Because
Amazing.
one of the things that exercise does is it's almost like insulin. It actually pushes the sugar and uses up the sugar. So you protect your insulin by exercising.
So that's not a myth. Reversing diabetes isn't.
And this is a chap from Luton, and he's more than welcome. I'm sure he'll come to another show if you ask him to.
We'd love to have him on.
And he did the marathon with a friend of his as well, Kudel Ashraf, who lost 10 stones in a year.
Wow.
So he's actually lost a total of 11 stone now because of the running, and you start to automatically get healthy lifestyle. Your mental wellness increases, and you want to do more. And he's just carried on. So even though we did the marathon in April, both of them are still doing stuff, and both raised over £6,000 for charity.
Amazing.
And the total for the group was over 70,000. With the 20 of us. So it was fantastic. It was children with cancer. So lots of positives just by making that decision of I want to start doing some exercise.
Absolutely. We've got a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment here. We've got couch to the kitchen. So not quite what we were talking about. We're talking about
that's a start. It's a start. So we say it's a start. You know, if we work out how many hours we spend sat down in our jobs at home, it's massive. Absolutely. So even just doing, there's a figure that says for every hour you sat down, do 1 minute of stretching is what we need to avoid muscle pain and back pain and things like that. So, you know, we say that was in jest, but actually if you work out, most of us will be sitting down for more than 8 to 9 hours a day.
Couch to the kitchen still better than couch to take out, isn't it?
I'll go with that. So couch to 5K, I mean, we've spoken a bit about it. Just break it down in terms of what exactly, why is it, Nadim, so, why does it work so well? What's unique about it? What is it?
I mean, physically, it's gradual. So we mentioned about doesn't matter what condition you're in, you start, you're worried about the lack of fitness, etc. Because it's gradual, it's something you build over a tested amount of time. So professionals have put this together. So it's I recall it's 30 minutes per day, 3 times a week. And the program, I think, is 9 weeks. So that as long as you don't miss any sessions, you should be able to be running 5K in 9 weeks comfortably to your own comfort levels. So
because for a lot of people, the thought of walking 1K is you know, a challenge.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So this is proven that it builds you up.
Oh no, absolutely. The reason I like recommending this to especially clients who are not at a fitness level, a desired fitness level, or maybe even a concerned level, is because it's gradual. You don't have to worry about them overexerting themselves and injury and that sort of thing. So I think it works so well is because it's designed really well and it's gradual. And also I think we say try to find an exercise you enjoy so you can continue doing it. But with Couch to 5K, you may not necessarily enjoy running. However, we all enjoy achieving and completing tasks, etc. So with this, because it's gradual, every time you do a session, hopefully it's considered a successful session. So you're going to keep doing it. And after 9 weeks, it's not too long. It's not too long that you can't keep that up. So I've found that it's very, very effective.
Great. And so the Public Health England app is available, and it's free of charge and is advert free. So it's available on app stores. And so if anyone would like to find out more about that, then they can just download it and try it for themselves. I know that I've tried it and found it, as you say, from someone that doesn't consider themselves at all to be a runner, found it very gentle in terms of how it very slowly eases you into the concept of going from walking to jogging, from jogging to jogging a bit faster, to eventually get into that kind of slightly faster running.
One of the positives about it also is because of the style of the gradual walking and jogging you mentioned. It's obviously it's similar to interval training, whereby your goal is to achieve the 5K, but interval training we know is brilliant at weight loss. So whilst you're actually trying to complete the 5K running, through that process of 9 weeks, you're actually losing weight, optimal levels, because of the type of running or type of exercise you're taking part in.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham, if you don't mind, you mentioned earlier in relation to how you've had to change how you've been able to keep. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure, Suliman. Yeah, I mean, so I went from being somebody who was playing cricket week in, week out during the season, probably going out running 3 or 4 times a week, playing five-a-side football, to somebody who, due to work commitments and caring commitments, just didn't have the time really for any of that traditional sporting activity that I'd historically taken part in, as well as the running that I was doing as well. So I can say firsthand really what that did to both my sort of mental and physical sort of outlook on life really, so what I sought to do was to make sure that I tried to build in some physical activity to my day-to-day life. So that meant, when I was going to work, not sitting at my desk all day, as Talib has referenced earlier, making sure I got up, every hour or so and went for a walk, a stretch, making sure I took 15, 20 minutes at lunchtime to go out for a walk, making sure I didn't take the lift, I took the stairs instead. When I was at home, walking up and down the stairs 3 or 4 times, if I had a spare couple of minutes, not sitting in front of the telly all night. Well, I couldn't do that anyway because of the responsibilities that I had. But just, building in some very, very simple, physical activity, within your own environment. Walking down to the shop rather than going in the car. Simple things like that really can make a massive, massive difference.
And doctor, does doing that quite light intensity stuff have the same kind of impact that you've been talking about?
The biggest difference in people's health with regards to exercise is to start doing it. Yeah. So if you compare someone who's done nothing to something, it's an exponential curve that plateaus. So someone who does a marathon, for example, isn't going to get the same benefit as someone who starts from 0 to something. And that's what I love about the Couch to 5K, the fact that going from nothing to something, that's the biggest growth in benefits. So doing exercise of any form is the massive benefit. And if we look at the Western world, particularly in this country, the biggest illnesses are weight related. So overweight, we're just getting bigger as a nation. Diabetes, which is related to weight, heart disease, strokes, depression, 1 in 4. All of those, you add exercise to it. It is, as Dr. Donaldson said, better than some of the tablets we give.
Absolutely. And can you just touch on a bit around this, the research that there's been around some of the benefits that if you are able to get out into into nature, how that adds in more additional benefits? So
Staffordshire University looked at parkrun alone, the benefits of parkrun, and they certainly found massive differences in confidence, reduction in isolation, because it's another big epidemic that we think is here already, isolation. We're the most connected generation ever in terms of phones and things like that, but actually we're one of the loneliest populations ever, or generations ever. People are talking to themselves with texts, or talking to others with texts, and I'm probably correct, talking to themselves with texts as well. But we're not talking to each other. We're not involved in physical, and so that becomes lonely. People get isolated. In America, they said that most adults, particularly males, can name only 2 friends they talk to. And in a society, and we're social creatures, we need company. So there's a lot of research on depression and anxiety with exercise. But the beauty of parkrun is you get out into nature as well, and you touch on that in one of my comments, is there's a lot of evidence suggesting that being out in nature alone, just sitting and being, taking your shoes off, walking in the grass, for example, has huge, massive benefits for physical and mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's the thing about nature. There's the element of physical activity, and then there's also the volunteering
and being part of the community.
And being part of the community.
Yeah, so reducing isolation, which has a massive effect on depression and anxiety.
And so this research has shown the impact of that and how powerful it's been for communities around the world, because this is now a worldwide phenomenon, isn't it? And it's just growing and growing. I'm just seeing I just see it more and more.
Yeah. So October, 5 million people had taken part.
5 million people.
Just October gone.
Really?
So that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think there's about 250,000 registered in the UK.
Amazing.
As park runners.
Yeah. So we are gonna see more and more of it. It's just a case of listeners gonna get involved.
Well, it's a beautiful day this Saturday, apparently, heat wave and everything, so be a bit careful with your water and put your suntan lotion on. Even people of my colour will burn, so I've got to make sure I've got my suntan lotion on. But come along. I mean, I think 9 o'clock, there are people there. We meet by the boathouse, right by the lake, and the lake's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And just to see the buzz of people talking, you can't help but be inspired.
Absolutely, absolutely. Graham, I just want to talk a little bit more now around the organisation that you represent. So, Team Beds in Luton. A lot of our listeners may not have heard of Team Beds in Luton. Can you just explain, who they are and what they do?
Yeah, thank you, Suliman. Yeah, so we're one of 43 active partnerships across England, and essentially what we've been tasked to do, and we're funded to do, is to deliver Sport England's national work locally here in Luton and more widely across Bedfordshire. Who is Sport England? Well, Sport England basically are an organisation that have been set up to deliver central government's policies and strategies around sport and physical activity. Now, historically, a lot of the work that we did was around supporting sports clubs and the sporting infrastructure, but that has changed with the last strategy, a central government strategy around an active nation, building an active nation. The focus has very much moved away from sport. We still support sport, we still support sports clubs, and there are some cracking sports clubs here in Luton that we do a lot of work with, actually. And there are some great opportunities for our young people to get involved with these clubs. And I would encourage people to take that opportunity if they possibly can. But for those who don't want to engage with traditional sport, physical activity, getting people active again, and for all the reasons that we've been talking about tonight, is so important. So I think there are some big challenges for us here in Luton, and there are a couple of things really that I just wanted to highlight, if that's okay, Suliman. One is around our spaces and our facilities. Luton is a town with a rapidly expanding population and limited space. So we don't have the opportunity to develop lots of new open spaces or facilities within open spaces. So we've got to make the most of the community facilities that we do have, and we've got to be creative about how we do that, really, to get those who aren't active and don't want to engage with traditional sport doing something that makes them more physically active. And we've got a great opportunity because Sport England are keen to invest in Luton and keen to invest in community spaces in Luton and the development of those. So if you're in a community in Luton that's looking to make the place where you live, the place where you worship, the faith centre, whatever that may be, or the place where you go and socialise, more conducive for physical activity for those that are going there, or those that you would like to get there, then do come and talk to us, because we're very, very keen to maximise the opportunities that are available to us through Sport England. And it might not necessarily be about funding. It might be about, just how you make, just advice and guidance about how you make your facilities more user-friendly and more supportive to making people physically active.
Sure.
So that's one massive opportunity.
And
for
how
us.
do people, if people do want to connect, how do they do that?
They can email me direct at Team Beds and Luton, so that's Graham, and it's spelled Graham at teambedsanluton.co.uk. And then go onto our website, which is www.teambedsanluton.co.uk.
Great.
And again, all our contact details are on there. So we mustn't miss out on that opportunity, because it is a great opportunity for us. It's not often that you get Sport England saying we want to invest in Luton for this type of project. And for those who might be listening outside of Luton, if you're in Bedfordshire, then again, the same message is also relevant. We also run a national programme called Satellite Clubs. This is for 14 to 19-year-olds. And again, it's a move away. Historically, when this was set up, it was around connecting sports clubs with schools. Now it's very much about targeting those 14 to 19-year-olds who are not physically active. So we'd like to work with community groups locally. So those that are actually working with that age group. And if they're interested in, making their community more physically active and they want some support to help make that happen, then again, come and talk to us.
Great.
There's also the Community Activity Network as well that will help facilitate and support that. And that's a council-run initiative that I know that they're looking to reinvigorate and bring some new life into. So there are opportunities for infrastructure and facility improvements. There are opportunities for programs that will hopefully help us to connect more effectively with the inactive population that we have here in Luton, and that's what we've got to try and do if we're going to make a really positive impact going forward.
Sure. And can you tell us, so just to be clear, for anyone out there, any community organisations, if they're looking for advice, guidance, support, they can contact you directly and have a conversation about what it is they're looking to achieve, what it is you and Sport England are looking to achieve, and how we might be able to work together for the betterment of the community. Yeah,
absolutely. But be delighted to hear from
Fantastic. Just very quickly, just touch a little bit more about the Community Activity Network, just for anyone who hasn't heard of that.
Yeah, I think people refer to it as the CAN, those that know it, but those that don't, I mean, it is a local authority initiative. And what it's about is developing a network for those that are in the community, whether they've got a little business or whether they're just in the community, they haven't got business, but they've got a project which is around physical activity. And they need some help with helping to get it off the ground. That might be a little bit of funding, it might be some advice, some guidance, resources. It might be just connecting them up with other people locally who can help make their project happen.
Fantastic.
So again, it is a local authority project, but we're actively involved in helping to reinvigorate that and make that happen. So if you get in touch with me, we can take it from there. Really.
Thank you. And then can you just touch on the Luton Sports Network for people that might be interested in that?
Yeah, again, so this is a network that we help facilitate, we help run. And this is one that's available to the sports clubs in Luton. It's been established for many years.
Any sports club sizes, doesn't matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So any recognised sport.
Okay.
And there are something like 47 recognised, probably more than that actually, sports. So if you're involved with the club, if you're involved within the community club setting, if you're a volunteer, and you want to have a voice around what's happening with sport in Luton, then come and talk to us. We do have a committee that makes the decisions around that network. And we're actively looking at the minute to bring some new members onto that committee. It's a subcommittee of Active Luton, but it has its own terms of reference. And it's all about giving that sector a voice. So it's not for the professionals, not for the people who work within that sector. It's about giving the people who give of their time freely a voice in a number of different areas. It might be around physical activity projects. It might be around workforce and developing the coaching workforce. And there's a particular focus on how do we make that workforce more linked in around issues such as mental health. It might be about facilities again.
Sure.
And the strategic decision making around facilities and where they go and where the money is invested. So if you're interested, get involved. We also have a grant funding scheme as well.
Great.
So and a talented athlete scheme as well. So if you're looking for some funding to support an initiative within your sports club, or you're a talented athlete looking for funding, then again, get in touch with us.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Graham. I mean, I've known Graham for a long time now, and I must say he's an absolutely wonderful individual to work with, really passionate about getting the job done. And so, he's given up his time here just to share that, and giving out your own personal email address as well, in terms of being open and transparent about the various opportunities. And, so often if we work together, we can get so much more done, and so it's really about connecting people. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Guys, I'm just conscious that we literally only have a few minutes left. Talib, I'm just gonna come to you in terms of kind of final reflections on today's show, and what you'd like to share with listeners.
I suppose just repeating what I said before, you're never too old. It's never too late to start exercising. Get your children started. Luton Athletics Club. We've got so many different clubs in Luton that will take on children. The Junior Park Run is an excellent way. Walk them to school. Don't take your car. The number of people who drive their kids just less than a mile to school. Walk. You'll get your 10,000 steps in. It's good for the parents. It's good for the kids.
Absolutely.
And it teaches them from a young age.
Fantastic. And Nadim, just finally.
Well, couch to 5K really. I think just push on encouraging people to download it. We've got no excuse. Everybody's got a smartphone these days. Just download it and give it a go. You got nothing to lose. Get down to your local parks, etc. Until you can muster up enough energy or exercise, get down to the park run. You've got your couch to 5K.
That's great, guys. Thank you so much for your time, listeners. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.